Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to greet you on the fourth day of Sustainability Week 2021. I'm Camila Mazrme. I'm Communication and Partnership Manager here at ROCKIT. And today we have a very special event that, especially myself, I was waiting the whole week. And today we're going to discuss why communicating sustainability matters. And today in our event, we are having a guest from UK, Gihan Hyde. So, hello, Gihan. How are you feeling?
I'm very well.
A short note about Gihan. Gihan is the founder and CEO of Communique. It's a startup that helps you to communicate your sustainability initiatives. And to be more precise, her work closed £300 million in investment deals, impacted 150 customers, 200K employees. Some of clients that she advised or impacted are like HSBC, Barclays, WHO, or BP. So it's not only this. When I met Gihan, I was really surprised and impacted by her charisma, energy, smile, and great ideas that she always has. So Gihan, I'm super, super happy and super, super inspired by you. So just before starting your presentation and before starting talking serious things, I would like to ask how you happened to appear in the sustainability field. What inspired you? What was your way here?
Thank you very much, Camille. What a lovely introduction. Thank you. So what inspired me is, so basically I've been always communicating sustainability without actually knowing it's called sustainability, because it's a relatively new discipline. And then when I joined BP and I was responsible for 2 or 3 initiatives that were related to climate change and sustainability, I realized, wow, that's what I have been doing for the past 15 years, but without knowing it. And this is where I realized, okay, this is what I'm really good at, and this is what I love. So why not just start a company that would help other companies to do so? Because it's a very technical topic, and I am very good at untangling the difficult data and topics and making it a very interesting, a very concise story.
I see. So was it difficult, I don't know, to start this kind of startup? Because usually we're talking about startup with innovation, technology, or something like that. So this is something different. This is something not what is happening, in the innovative field. So was it difficult to start the startup yourself?
It was very difficult because my target market are the fintechs and the startups, and sustainability as we know it is not yet at the forefront of everyone's mind when it comes to fintech specifically. It is not something that's important to everyone yet, because it's affecting and impacting different regions in different ways. So if you're in the EU or in the US or in Asia, for example, you will need to start thinking about sustainability. But if you're in the Middle East like I am, or I'm from the Middle East, sustainability is not really important. So the difficulty was to convince the clients that they need to start thinking about sustainability, and then not even that, they also need to start communicating it effectively and clearly, so that they can get the right investors in, the right clients, and the right employees as well.
Yes, I totally agree, and probably your presentation will be very much convincing us that we should communicate sustainability. So the floor is yours with the presentation, and then we'll discuss more questions. And I would like to remind for our viewers that if you have any questions, you can comment them on our YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn channel, and we'll try to introduce them to Gihan. So Gihan, the floor or the screen is yours.
Thank you.
with the presentation. I just can't wait to hear how and why we should communicate it, and especially for fintechs, because we ROCKIT, we are mostly fintech hub. Now we are also approaching sustainability. So I believe that for our community and for our startups, that would be very valuable information, and for all partners that we have. So the floor is yours. I'm shutting myself down.
So can you all see my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm just going to put it in this phase, just because there's a couple, actually, you know what? No. I'll
Just try to make it the full screen.
Yes.
Yes, super.
Perfect. So hi everyone, as Camille was saying, I am Gihan, and today we will be talking about sustainability. But the difference is that sustainability is known as different terminologies in different areas. Sustainability is a very wide word. It's very broad. It doesn't really mean much. However, recently the terminology that is called ESG has been extremely important. And you, as fintechs, founders, CEOs, employees, or even activists within the fintech areas, you will hear the term ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance. But me, Gihan, in the street will not hear this word, this terminology. It's a terminology that's purely focused and purely mentioned by investors, by leadership teams, by regulators, and by employees who are in the fintech world, or any company moving forward. It is the difference between the word sustainability and ESG is that sustainability, as I said, is very broad. It doesn't really mean much. But ESG are the factors and the data that you will need to measure in order to show your clients, your investors, and your employees that you are green, you're ethical, and you are sustainable. And you have a goal and you want to save the planet. The E, which stands for environmental, it's purely about how you as a company are affecting the environment, whether negatively or positively. And if you're affecting it negatively, how are you going to solve this problem? Okay? There are several initiatives out there in the fintech world that is rotating around E. E is the most difficult aspect of ESG to communicate because it lacks data. It's a very difficult, dry topic. For example, it's very difficult to really measure your carbon footprint when you are in the office. It's very difficult to communicate and understand what are your suppliers doing to save the planet. However, it's not impossible to communicate. So to give you an example of a successful environmental fintech campaign, I have chosen a campaign from GoDaddy. So this is an example of an environmental campaign done by a fintech company. Again, just to recap, ESG is the future of sustainability. So the word sustainability is going to be there, but the word ESG is going to be more used than the word sustainability. When it comes to the S, which is social, it's all about how you, as a fintech company, are dealing with your employees. What is the relationship you have with your employees? What is the relationship you have with your clients, and your stakeholders and communities? To me, the easiest part to communicate within ESG is the social, because the data is there, it's more human, we can understand it. Unlike the environmental, we can't really yet understand it. And climate change, for example, is affecting me in the Middle East differently than it will be affecting you in Europe. And hence, you and I will never see eye to eye when it comes to climate change. And that's unfortunate. Hopefully, this will change very soon. So the S will deal around, for example, how you treat your employees, how what is your health and safety measurements that you have, and and aspects like that. To give you an example of a social fintech campaign, I have chosen this one, which is by N26.
There's no getting around it. Gender inequality is everywhere in our world. You may not realize it, but there's also a digital divide in banking. There's a drastic gender gap in access to and usage of digital financial services. But there's a way out. According to a G20 study, 55% of the unbanked female population, roughly 1 billion people, can access financial services through technology, as opposed to traditional banking services. Because addressing the gender divide and advancing opportunities for women is a priority at N26, they're taking some important steps. Let's take a closer look. Gender inequality affects even things most of us take for granted, like internet access. 200 million more men than women have access to the internet. Women are 21% less likely to own a mobile phone that helps them transfer money, run a business, and connect with their community more effectively. Sounds gloomy, but there's been progress. Millions of women have been gaining access to mobile and financial services over the last few years. As a global institution, N26 is making serious moves to close the digital divide and encouraging economic participation for women. It starts with promoting research. The Female Opportunity Index looks at female heads of state since 1970, female entrepreneurs, access to education, women in managerial positions, salary level, gender pay gaps, and more. And this might surprise you. The USA was found to rank 48th in the Female Opportunity Index, while, not by chance, states with female leadership, such as Germany or New Zealand, scored much more favorably at places 5th and 6th. At N26, workplace inclusion is of the essence.
Due to time constraints, unfortunately, we can't really watch the whole thing. However, it is available, so please do watch it. So that's an example of a social communications campaign. When it comes to the governance is all about how you as a company are governed. What are your compliance policies? How is your board divided? Are they being paid equally? Do you have any diversity within your board? The G is very difficult to find campaigns on, because you will only hear about it when there's a scandal. That's it. But it's not impossible. We can still find some campaigns and related to scandals. So I've chosen this one.
This company collapsed so quickly and so entirely. I mean, it was into bankruptcy within a matter of weeks.
What you are watching is about Enron, the energy trading company that collapsed in 2001 and became a prime example of corporate greed, fraud, and corruption. It could be told today about Wirecard, the German fintech. $2 billion suddenly disappeared from the company. Soon after, it was declared insolvent and the CEO was arrested. There are disturbing similarities between the two firms. If Enron coincided with the end of the dot-com bubble era, what does the Wirecard scandal tell us about our times? Enron was an oil and gas company at first, but it quickly became known for financial engineering. Wirecard was one of the world's first fintech companies. Since 2007, it provides software for online payments, contactless payments, and ironically fraud prevention systems. They both rose quickly, but there were early signs that things were not right. For Enron, there was a case of illegal trading activities as early as 1987. For Wirecard, the FT started reporting some suspicious activities 18 months earlier, but the warnings had little impact. Both Enron and Wirecard were supported by friends in high places. In the case of Enron, it was the US presidents, Bush father and son. For Wirecard, it was the German Financial Authority. Enron created a complex accounting structure to hide its losses. It looks like for Wirecard, despite all.
So I think you get the idea now. That's how a G is communicated. So please try to avoid communicating G, the governance, if you have any scandal. Sorry, I can't find my cursor, so I have no idea what. Okay, I'm sorry, but until I find my cursor, I can't put it in full screen. So we'll need to just go ahead. So where did the word sustainability and ESG come from? When did it really erupted? It erupted in 2015, where the UN and its 197 countries actually sat down together and decided that for our planet to be saved, we need to also look at our societies, and we also need to look at economies. And they all agreed that there is 17 goals that they need to focus on for us to achieve that. And they are known as the SDG, which stands for Sustainable Development Goals. Fast forward 2019, Greta came into the scene, and she really highlighted the importance of climate change and how we need to focus on it. Fast forward 2020, unfortunately, we went through 3 different crises. The first one was COVID, which is a health crisis. Then came the societal injustices crisis when it came to the Black Lives Matters, and finally the economical crisis. These 2020 gave everyone the opportunity, including our investors, ourselves as leaders, and our clients and employees, to really sit back and reflect on what do we want to do with our lives? What impact do we want to have on our families, in our societies, and in our environment? If we look at the investors, the reason the terminology ESG has really erupted last year and this year is because when investors sat down to look at their portfolios, they realized that the portfolios that were sustainable actually yielded to 28% more profit than their portfolios that were not sustainable, who only yielded 14% profit. That also made them realize that, okay, we're missing a trick. We need to focus on sustainability now. And as a result, last year, 77.8 billion asset under management funds have rebranded themselves as being a sustainable fund. The investors also, what they did is that they realized that, okay, we need to rebrand ourselves as well. We need to work on who are we going to invest in. And as a result, 84% of the global investors and asset owners are now only looking to invest in ESG investments. PwC conducted a survey where they interviewed 1,000 tech CEOs around the world and asked them about what do they think about sustainability. And interestingly, 800 out of these 1,000 did say that climate change and environmental change actually is the biggest risk for their growth. And also 79% of these tech CEOs agree that for them to grow, they will need to very quickly shift into clean technology and economy. So that's when it comes to our investors, okay? And this is why sustainability is crucial for us, because investors for us they are one of the most important stakeholders that we need to be aligned with. The second group that also made us realize why sustainability is very important is our consumers. There's a report that went out this year, and it's all about the sustainability trend reports when it comes to consumerism. And they found, and they've interviewed thousands of people globally about what do they see, how do they see themselves changing post 2020, and how do they see their purchasing power change. They found that 85% of the participants said that they are actually really prepared to think and rethink the way they live. And to me, that's a big number that we need to focus on. But the biggest for me was also with how much are these consumers willing to give away 0.5 of their annual salary to solve sustainability and climate change. And the shocking number was China. The Chinese participants were the majority who said, we are willing to give up 0.05% as 0.5% of our annual salary to save the planet. But not only that, in the UK, where I am based, 79% of the consumers said that they will only buy sustainable products. Not only, and other than that, 1 in 3 consumers, as we speak globally, is looking into banking with sustainable banks, buying and buying sustainable products. So that's from a consumer's point of view. And this is why sustainability is something that we really need to start taking seriously. When it comes to our employees, and in my mind, employees are the most important assets that we have. Without them, we will not be able to survive. If we look at the current population globally, 50% of them are under the age of 30. By 2025, 80% of the global talent that we will be hiring are from the Gen Z. Gen Z are known to be very, very conscious when it comes to sustainability. And they're not afraid to speak up in social media or to us as leadership teams to say to us, you are not walking the walk or talking the talk, so I will not be working for you. And they have no problem walking away, specifically within the tech and the fintechs. Don't forget as well, our employees are also our investors. And in a survey that has been conducted, they found that 78% of the Gen Zs who are between the age of 18 and 34, so these are the millennials and the Gen Zs between the age of 18 and 34, they did say that ESG is a huge consideration when they are thinking of where they should be investing. And we can see that with the majority of crowdfunding, for example. We've just recently did a research where we looked at the most successful crowdfunding campaigns and why were they successful. And it was very clear the reason the most successful crowdfunding campaigns in Seedrs, Crowdcube, and Start Engine were the ones who were very focused on sustainability. But not only that, the investors themselves were the majority millennials and Gen Zs. So to me, that is something that we really need to focus on when we are rethinking our strategic planning and our business model post-pandemic. It was also found that apparently 2/3 of the 18 to 34 actually will choose a different fund manager to work with if he or she does not encourage them to invest in sustainable funds. So again, the employees are both our assets to help us grow, but they're also our investors that we need to take seriously. Yay, I found my cursor. Excellent. Okay, when it comes to challenges, so why is ESG/sustainability very difficult to communicate? For me as a communicator and as a founder of a company, the reason I find it very difficult is because the lack of data. Sustainability and ESG, specifically the E, the environmental part, it is extremely difficult to find the accurate data. And not even that, it's extremely difficult to capture the data because there's so many variants and so many parties involved. It's almost impossible to get accurate data. But not only that, we are not yet equipped to even have a dashboard to show us how the trends are changing. What we do have, we have satellite images when it comes to climate changes. We have guesswork data, but we don't have accurate data that would help us really understand how we can change. And that, as a communicator, is a massive challenge because it can put me in a slight way of it could definitely result in greenwashing. And for those of you who don't know what the word greenwashing means, it means that when you say something, let's say you're planting 20,000 trees, but in reality, the trees that you're planting are useless to the environment. So you're saying something, but you're not really doing it correctly. That is called greenwashing. And with us, when it comes to the fintech, there is so much opportunities that we could greenwash and that we need to avoid and look into. When it comes to the E itself, it's a very complex topic. It's a dry topic. And as I mentioned earlier, sustainability or climate change, for example, doesn't affect me the way it affects you. As human beings, we only react to the immediate threat. We don't know how to react to a threat that we cannot see. And this is why we're afraid of tackling sustainability in our workplaces. Plus, we also live sometimes in regions that sustainability is not yet really enforced by us or by the regulators. Last but not least is the lack of skills in-house. And I've seen this with my own, for myself, with my clients. They don't, and especially with the fintech and the tech companies who are startups and scale-ups, they don't have the people in-house to explain to them how to become sustainable. They don't have the people who would help them change their business model in becoming sustainable. And this is an extra cost on us as fintechs and startups. This is a cost that we need to start thinking about. We need to start either upskilling our employees, finding out who are passionate about sustainability and training them up, or we need to look outside and depend on outsiders to tell us what to do. And to me, these are the three difficulties that us as communicators find when it comes to communicating sustainability. To give you an example of an incomplete, so that you can avoid doing so, is that when you do want to communicate your sustainability and your ESG campaigns, please make sure that you tell the whole story. Lunar issued a sustainable environmental campaign called Project Blue. They've done wonderful. They have, I have to admit. But the problem is they told us what they've done, but they didn't tell us how they've done it. So, for example, they've saved around 608 kilograms of plastics, but they never told me, as someone who's paying money to become part of this initiative, what's happening to the plastic. And this is where communication comes in. You need to tell a full story. You need to commit to your sustainability communications. You cannot just do something and hope for the best. Same with Revolut. Revolut is rounding out any numbers and donating it to large organizations such as Save the Children and the Red Cross. But what they're not telling us is that where and how these charities are using our money. Which part of the world are they using it? Again, a story. Sustainability and ESG is all about storytelling. To finalize, how do we communicate ESG effectively? The first one, we need to link it to purpose. Before you even think of talking about how sustainable you are as a company, think, why did you exist as a company? What was the reason you existed? And based on that, roll out your sustainability story. You need to tell us what's the economical story behind your sustainability and your ESG initiatives. So, for example, IBM, when every time they're planning their planning cycle, they actually invite their employees and ask them, how do you think we should be sustainable? And how much money, based on your ideas, do you think we will be saving? When you involve your employees and you monetize how your sustainability will save you money, for example, you are making everyone involved and making everyone come with you and be happy. So you have to tell us the economical story behind your sustainability. You need to make it easy and you need to make it positive. Do not focus on the negatives of climate change. People are dying. Animals are going extinct. Focus on the positives of how you are preventing these animals from dying, preventing our planet from hitting its climate change temperatures, and make it appealing. By make it appealing, I mean make it visually appealing, but also make it relatable. To give you an example, very quick example, in Poland there was a forest, and the Polish government wanted to demolish this forest. But the problem is this forest is one of its kind in the world. Greenpeace, the climate change activists, what they did, they actually created the forest tree for tree, branch of branch, and transformed it into a Minecraft game. They've asked all the Minecrafters to play the game and tell them what they thought about it in social media. The game was so popular that it gained international attraction, and everyone was talking about it, to the extent that they actually pressurized the Polish government to stop deforesting that amazing indigenous forest. So this is what I mean by making it relevant, make it feel normal. Don't highlight your sustainability effort on certain years, a certain time of the year, such as, Water Day, Water Week, things like that. Do not do that. Talk about it all the time. Make it as part of your daily messages. And finally, look within you as a company, within you as suppliers, and within your suppliers, look for your champions, look for people who really believe in sustainability, and bring them on board. Help them help you to understand how you can become sustainable. For example, there is a supermarket in the UK called Marks and Spencer, which I'm sure you all know. Because of them, because of the champions, Marks and Spencer's saved more than £4 million purely because of their champions, because they came up with sustainable ideas. So to summarize, it is not something that it's not a topic that we will be able to ignore anymore. It is something that's inevitable. We've seen it in the EU. They've just launched their 11 taxonomies, forcing everyone in the EU to mention how they're being sustainable. We've also focused in Geneva, in Switzerland. Again, the regulators have now issued new regulations. So it is coming. It's not something we can avoid for long. And if we look at Berlin, for example, in Berlin, 30 of the largest VCs are now agreed to have sustainability as part of their portfolios, including Early Bird, Cherry Ventures. So that is my presentation, and I hope you have found it useful. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Of course, we have a questions. Thank you for a lovely and very, very interesting presentation. So while listening to this, I was thinking, who are those leading companies, maybe leading examples in the world that they are communicating bravely sustainability, that they are not afraid to, to show all ESGs and everything. So Could you name them? Who are the leaders, and maybe even point what marketing campaigns they did to show this leadership in the communication.
So the leaders, when it comes to sustainability, the retail sector is way ahead of everyone else, and the fossil fuels as well, but they're not succeeding as much as the retail sectors. If we look at the retail sector, the leading ones are Patagonia and Unilever. They're the top. They're the top two. When it comes to technology, for example, you have IBM. They're leading on that. Amazon are now coming into play with their recent campaigns and initiatives. Examples. When it comes to Unilever, one of their champions, their sustainability champions in India, came up and said, we are in a region in India that is filled with poverty. And I think what we could do is we get these ladies who are in charge of the households in India, in the suburbs of India, train them up, educate them on how they should be selling, so all the financial planning and everything, give them our products, and based on that, we are hitting two birds with one stone. The first, we are selling our products through them. The second, we are contributing to our society by educating them to become entrepreneurs. And that resulted in growing their market share massively. So that's when it comes to Unilever. If we look at the tech or the fintechs specifically, the leader is a bank based in the UK called Tridos. I'm sure I'm pronouncing their name incorrectly, but they are, to me, they're the most ethical bank, neobank. They've always been, from the start, said, we will only be sustainable. We will not deviate from our sustainability initiatives. So if you look at the funds that they're supporting, if you look at the initiatives that they are providing, it's mind-blowing. So please do and check it out.
Okay. I think we have a question also from the audience, and I'm sure we can see it on the screen. So it's from Lina. It's actually one of our partners. So companies are oftentimes taken aback by the complexity of ESG reporting and think they need to follow rigid standards and frameworks to avoid greenwashing. How should companies navigate this journey from the initial ESG initiatives to full-on reporting according to the most complex frameworks and ESG commitments and communicate? That in a way avoids greenwashing criticism. So long question.
Yes, but if I understand Lina correctly, she's saying, how do we avoid greenwashing?
Exactly.
And how do we simplify the data and the reporting that we have? Okay. As communicators, we are not the experts in the data. So we are not asked to go and analyze the data. But what we should be doing, we should be asking the difficult questions that no one dares to ask. We should be asking, where did this data come from? And we should be sitting down with so the way data is gathered in companies is that you get a third-party supplier. These suppliers would be the ones who are gathering the data for you. So it shouldn't be done internally because we don't have the skill set. The people who are gathering the data should be shadowed all the time by the communicators so that the communicators can understand how on earth this data was captured. And is this data correct? So what I do when I join a company to help them with their ESG/sustainability story, I sit down with these third-party suppliers and I say, okay, you are measuring data 1, 2, 3, and 4. Why did you choose those? How did you get those? And how can you prove to me that this is true? So I'm pushing them. And that's all I can do as a communicator. By pushing them, I am then making sure that I have the right stories to tell. Because if we can't measure, we cannot succeed. And this is how we do it. As communicators, we ask the difficult questions, we gather the data through the third parties, and that's all what we could do.
Thank you very much. We have one more question from Mani on LinkedIn platform, and he's asking about preferred frameworks through the sustainability projects and how to simplify and understand them and how to make this process better.
Hi, Manny. I know Manny very well. Hi. You always ask the difficult questions, Manny. Why? Okay.
But his previous comment was that it was such an amazing presentation. So
yeah. Thank you, Manny. I owe you one. Actually, Manny has a good story to tell, so please follow him because he will make our life a lot easier when it comes to sustainability. And he will tell you how when you follow him. There are several frameworks, Manny, that you would need to follow depending on your sector and depending on the size of your company. The general framework is the GRI, which is the Global Reporting Initiatives. It's the oldest type of reporting and measurement. It's been there for a while, and it's the most holistic type of reporting. It will tackle every aspect of your E, the S, and the G. And to me, I would personally start with the GRI first. And once, if you feel that it's not really capturing what you are doing or what you want to achieve, there are other type of reports that you can use. But start with the GRI. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you very much, Gihan. And our time is coming to the end, and I'm sad about this because I could listen to you for hours.
Thank you.
It's super interesting, and actually it inspires us as well because we are, as ROCKIT hub and community, we are also almost done with our report where we also are talking about ESGs from many perspectives, and of course our social vertical is biggest one and most commented one probably, but yes, we are doing those steps as well, and everything you mentioned we are trying to observe and to check and to count, and we also counted our CO2 emission from the day one that we started. So it wasn't easy, as you said, but it's possible. It's really possible, and it's great that we are becoming climate neutral because we're gonna offset everything.
Nice.
So that's good news from us as ROCKIT hub and community. So once again, Gihan, thank you so much. It was very, very interesting to listen to you. And if anyone from viewers would like to connect with Gihan, you can find her on LinkedIn. Or if you will not find or have difficulties, you can also write to us, and we'll be more than happy to connect you and to lead you through sustainability with the help of Gihan if you need this. So once again, thank you very much. It's our 4th day of Sustainability Week, and tomorrow is the last one. So we'll have a few events. Today we are having our community event. We are going to ride bikes. Nice. So that's very sustainable for health and then for the nature as well. So yes.
Don't drink too much and ride the bike, just in case.
Yes, of course.
You're a responsible biker.
Yes. So thank you very much for watching us, being with us, and we hope to see you in our other events. And by the way, Gihan, all these flowers are for you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.